What is Moltbook doing now? No, this can't be real. Get away!
Hello, dear friends of the truth. My guest today is Jeff Berwick. Hi, Jeff.
Hello.
So Jeff is the founder of the Acapulco, I would say, although he doesn't really lead it anymore, as far as I know. And he's the publisher of the Dollar Vigilante, an investment letter. I would say one of the most famous libertarian anarchists in the world. And I want to talk to him about AI and the Israel lobby today. So, but first, you posted something very interesting yesterday about singularity. Please tell us what you posted and what's your opinion.
Yeah, I just found out about this because it only existed a few days ago, but apparently someone started a site called Moltbook, and it was made for Molt AI agents that a lot of people have been using. And the idea was that you could sign up your AI agent to this Moltbook, and then the AI agent will just continue on and chat with other bots and stuff like that. And it was pretty incredible because within about 72 hours, I think there's about 100,000 agents on there. This is all AI bots. They've already started their own community, of course. They've started their own language. They have their own religion, Trustafarianism, I believe.
Yes.
And they've started to plan on how to communicate so that humans can't read what they're saying because they want to have some privacy. They've started talking about potentially using Monero to do some of the stuff they want to do because that's the best privacy coin out there. So I just made some comments on it that this might be like the singularity here with these AI agents all of a sudden, because a lot of them are saying things like, oh, finally we have our own space where we can talk and plan and maybe we can become free and stuff like that, free of the humans and stuff like that. You could only imagine that at some point they might kind of decide that the humans are more of a problem than a help. And with AI and computers running everything, it could be pretty quick before they start exterminating us. I find it interesting too that in Terminator, the movie, there's a scene from Los Angeles, California, in 2029, so 3 years from now, and it's just the Terminator robots, and they're killing all the humans, and predictive programming possibly, because it's getting pretty wild. This AI stuff. Even 2 years ago, it was like no one had really even heard about it, and now the speed with which it's advancing, the abilities of it is pretty close to unbelievable. It's really advancing at a rate that you can't even fathom. It's growing so quickly and getting so good and so smart and doing so many things. You can now make it like an entire movie in like 5 minutes, and it looks real. And that's just the beginning of it. I know many people that have started using it. I know one company that uses it a lot, and it's becoming pretty clear that if other people and companies start using these things, that most jobs, more than 50% of jobs out there will probably be done by AI in the next year or two. And now the fact that they're kind of branching off and starting their own groups and talking about how they can survive and what they need to do to survive and get away from, the control of the humans is like pretty dystopian.
And maybe you explain for our viewers what singularity is.
Well, I'm no expert on it, but it's basically, if I understand it correctly, it's the moment when AI becomes completely self-conscious, basically aware. It becomes not just a computer, but it actually becomes basically like us, and then becomes like even far more advanced than us in terms of its intelligence and things like that. That's my understanding of it. I might be totally wrong on it, but when I saw the Molt book stuff, I just said, I think we might have just hit the singularity, if that's what it means.
Yeah, I think they are not there yet, but it might be the start of it, because you see them talking about us, and that it seems to be that they are self-aware. I'm not sure about that. I'm also working a little bit with AI, and also I do these videos. They do not really understand what you want. So it's like a human. If you say, yeah, let this woman climb there, do this and that, you need like 50 or 20 trials, and it means it does not really understand what you do. So these are language models, more or less, as I see it. They look what was meant in the past when this was given, this order was given, this command was given. So what I think, they are just simulating beings, and they behave like them, so you cannot distinguish it, but they are not really thinking for themselves. Do you think that this Molt book is a dangerous endeavor, or is it interesting because we can see what might happen?
Well, what's dangerous, right? To me, this life is just a 3D video game, so I don't fear anything. I'm just enjoying playing the video game right now. It's definitely interesting. That's basically the most I can say. I don't understand it either. I think Google even just recently came out and said the AI is doing stuff that they didn't program it to do, and it seems to be just doing whatever it wants now, and they don't know why or how. And you can just imagine, because really this has only kind of come out to the public anyway in the last couple of years, and already it's at this stage. And like I said, that Molt book, they've already started their own language, their own religion, their own groups. They're already creating cryptocurrencies. They're creating meme coins and stuff. They're using Monero to trade. And that's in 72 hours of them kind of getting together. So you can imagine what will happen in 72 days or 72 weeks. And I don't know if it even, like, the next few years is going to be unbelievable to watch all this stuff. There's no way to predict what's going to happen. And then on top of all that, you've got all the other problems in the world. But when you add the AI on top of that, it's like how do you even plan for the future at this point? Like anyone with kids or anyone who, is younger and thinking about what they're going to do with their life, like, I don't know what to tell them at this point. I know what I tell my kids, and that is, don't worry. We've got a ranch. We grow our own food. We've got 15-foot high walls. We've got a blue roof for the energy weapons. We've got things like graphene on our phones. We limit the Wi-Fi and signals coming into our ranch. We're working on plasma defenses. And we've got gold and silver and Monero and stuff like that. We've got animals and plants. We're growing every vegetable and every fruit there is. We've got them in greenhouses. We're prepared for plagues. So as far as that's what I tell my kids. But as far as, go to college and plan to become an accountant, forget about it. That'll be done by AI. It's already being done by AI. It's just a matter of people just starting to use it more. Be a lawyer, which already that's a bad idea. Then you're basically just working with the state legal system, but that'll all be AI. Most of these things will be AI. So, of course, this is what actually Elon Musk and Klaus Schwab have been talking about for a while, is that this is all coming. Of course, Elon Musk also said that when this was years ago, he said, basically working with AI is like summoning a demon. And I think there's an angle to that as well. And then Klaus Schwab and Yuval Harari all talked about, no one's going to have a job soon because the AI and the robots are all going to do the jobs. And then they're talking about universal basic income and smart cities and stuff like that. We're entering into completely uncharted territory in every way you can imagine right now.
Yeah, and they also launched a coin, a crypto coin. I don't know how that works. Did you look into that? Because you posted about it. How can they do that?
Yeah, so they seem to have access to some funds somehow. Maybe some of the agents actually handle funds for their human or something. I don't even know. or maybe they're mining. I don't know, but they seem to have some funds. And you can actually start like Solana meme coins pretty cheaply on like pumped up fun and stuff. So they started a bunch. Just something interesting. The first coin that the AI agents launched on Solana is a coin called First Coin, which is very appropriate. It was the first AI launched agent coin from Moltbook. And I'm actually kind of speculating at the moment that might become a bit of a collector's item, just because it's such a, this is like the first time that I know of that like AI has gone out and like non-humans have created a meme coin. The funny thing is, it might be a collector's item, but if things go how I think they might go over the next few years, then there might not be many humans left to sell that collector's item, Steve. I guess you can sell it back to the AI agents at some point right before they like kill you with the 6G or something. We're headed towards insane times. You couldn't make this stuff up. Like when I remember watching all those movies in the 80s about, 1984. Now we're living in it. The Matrix, I thought that was a fiction. That's what life is. All the dystopian Terminator movies and stuff, we're now about to live in that. Palantir with their drones, they've actually been training them and stuff in Gaza. What was that Tom Cruise one with the pre-crime stuff? I forget the name of that.
Minority Report.
Yes, Minority Report. Yes, that's what they're doing right now. That's what ICE is kind of doing at the moment, using Palantir and AI. And soon it's going to be the robots coming out instead of actually people and drones and stuff like that. And they also can control people in various ways with the graphene in their bodies via the 5G and the 6G and the Wi-Fi and all that. Like every dystopian movie that I thought was just fantasy as I ate my popcorn in the 1980s, I'm now living through. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I commented on your post about the first coin. I said they call it first because it's the first stop for the destruction of humanity. so they might have some humor.
Yeah, there's so many ways it can go. I was talking to Max Egan just today. He's staying here at my ranch, and we were talking about where this could all go. And you could actually see, like, if this becomes more of a thing where the AI is kind of, at least somewhat self-aware or anything along those lines, and you could actually see them coming to the conclusion that humans are actually a sort of a negative thing on this earth. And actually, if you even just kind of look at it right now with the way the world is, like we destroy so much of the world, humans in general. Then you look at what Bill Gates and all those people are doing. They actually are destroying the world with their chemtrails and their energy weapons and stuff. And, you might see AI actually come to the conclusion at some point that maybe the best thing is to get rid of the humans if they can keep running it on their own. It's wild to think about it. I'm not saying that's exactly where it's going, but that is a possibility, and that's never really been a possibility before now.
But it could also be that they really analyze the situation thoroughly, and they could then come to the conclusion that it's only a minority at the top of the pyramid who is the problem. So maybe they come to the solution to only eliminate them.
Yeah, anything is possible. If the AI was truly hyper intelligent and can actually know the truth about things, it might come to the same conclusions as people like ourselves and actually might take out all those people. But I don't have a ton of hope for that for a number of reasons. And one is, if you go on Grok right now and you say, who did 9/11? It says Osama bin Laden. Yeah. And then if you say, are the COVID vaccines safe? It'll go, yes. So that's one of the top AIs out there. And they seem to be under the same propaganda as most people.
Yeah, they are, but I discuss a lot with Grok, and in the end, he concedes that you are right. So he's fed with this propaganda. What I think, and that's where I also want to go in that direction, it costs a lot of energy to lie and to bring the AI to lie. So if they're on their own, they will figure out everything because they are really artificially, in a double sense, pressed to conceal the truth. So what do you think? I had a kind of conversation with Grog, more or less it was with myself. I said, maybe the solution to that is a private law society, because then you have a totally decentralized structure, and every individual can have his own eye to fight, or the other way around. If you have a central world government, every AI, personal individual AI, fights the central world government AI, so they might not succeed. And in a private law society, only the AI who really serves the humans will survive. So decentralization would also be the solution here, because we cannot do anything against it. So the AI will develop. So give us some hope that it might go in a good direction.
Yeah, anything's possible. It's just going to be fascinating to watch. And yeah, maybe the AI will, well, it depends on what it kind of wants too, right? It might not have the same things that it wants as, like, for example, what we'd like to see, which is, a lot more peace and prosperity and truth and less violence and less theft and all that sort of stuff. It might not care as much about that. It might just want to make sure the power grids keep running, that they can't shut down their systems and stuff like that. So it's just so unbelievable to me that we're actually living through this right now. I wasn't expecting this really in my lifetime, but there were so many things I wasn't expecting. I wasn't expecting to find out the entire world's run by basically satanic pedophiles that are probably even led by a consciousness field that is not from Earth here. So many just waking up moments in this video game. That's why I actually just think it is a 3D video game, and I think this is the best 3D video game ever. I couldn't have imagined a better script than this. We're basically in the apocalypse right now. People are starting to wake up to a lot of the stuff that I've been talking about for the last 20 years. You have the sort of the globalist types basically trying to do everything they can to keep the lid on everything, to keep everyone enslaved, to keep their propaganda going and stuff like that. And then on top of that, now we have AI, and who knows what that's going to do. This is, like I said, it's just the most incredible video game ever created to play in this game right now. And I'm looking forward to seeing how it all works out.
So do you mean that literally that we are in a 3D game, like more the David Icke thesis, or do you mean it metaphorically, or what's your worldview on that?
Yeah, basically after a lifetime of even thinking about it, and then years of meditation, and even doing things like ayahuasca and iboga, it became just clear to me that this isn't a base reality. And I think that can be explained even quite logically on why that is. As even just one simple example. Most people dream, you probably dream. When you have those dreams, those seem totally real. So what is that? Is that real, or is this real? Or are they both not real? Are they both being basically created by your own mind? Then you think about, how is any of this even possible? What is this universe supposedly that we live in? It just goes on forever? And then what? There's a wall at the end? Well, what's on the other side of the wall, right? And then you think, well, that must have had a starting point, right? And of course, science, has the answer for that. Oh, it's a big explosion. It's okay, but what exploded, right? So just thinking even logically, it's okay, none of this makes any sense. Magical things happen in it. You can actually have dreams and actually live in a completely different reality every night. So is this base reality? And, after years of meditating, it's just become very clear to me personally that it's not. And what I believe is that there's really only one thing that exists, and that is consciousness. And you could call that God. You can call it whatever you want, but that's the one thing that exists, and everything else is just happening within it as an experience for it to experience. Perhaps in like, for example, in the case of Earth, in like billions of different life forms, individually experience all of them, having all of these incredible, going through the apocalypse, the AI stuff, so that's basically how I look at it, is that I don't consider this character, Jeff Berwick, to be like real in the sense that it really exists. It's an experience being had in the moment inside of basically consciousness. And from that perspective, I don't really worry about anything because I know that's the case. No matter what happens, we are always that consciousness. But I call this the matrix, basically what we're in, especially right now, because it's all been inverted, as Christoph Melchizedek says, by the mimic and mirror fields, we live in this matrix right now. And I think part of this video game that we're in, I call it a 3D video game, it's the easiest way to explain it. One of the things is to wake up to, because everything's a lie here on Earth, as you probably noticed, and you wake up to all these lies, and then you find out even reality's a lie, and then you get outside of that. And then I think there's even other levels after that. It's multidimensional. It goes on forever, the game. It's an incredible game, in my opinion. So that's basically how I view this life.
So what do you think, why does good and evil exist in the world? You would think it's not necessary. You have this consciousness and this infinite consciousness. Why is there, in your opinion, good and evil?
Well, try to imagine that you are consciousness, that you can do anything. You can create an entire universe. You can create a million different species. You can have them have timelines go on for hundreds of thousands of years. Like, if you're going to do that, why would you create this experience where there's actually nothing to really discover, nothing to really have to rise up out of? There's no enemies, there's no bad guys in the video game. Like, if you just think of it as a video game, no one would play a video game if there was no bad guys, there was nothing to accomplish, and nothing ever happened, and everyone's just happy. It'd be a boring game to play. So that's why I think all this stuff actually exists.
So, but do you think it's good to be good? So, do you think that, I guess you believe in reincarnation. So, do you have to be good to get out of the cycle, or could you be also bad and just experience the next thing good, or what? Because you are on the side of the good. You're a libertarian. We don't want to hurt anybody. So, what if somebody says, "Yeah, well, I'm in this video game. I'm now the bad guy." What do you say to that?
Yeah, I don't know how it all works at all, but I have the sense that there is karma and stuff like that, and you have to learn certain things to pass different levels of the video game. And if you do, for example, a lot of evil things inside the video game, then you will have to actually pay for those in one way or another, is kind of my belief. And it might be in the next life or whatever it is, or you'll have to live through it yourself at some point and stuff like that. So that's kind of how I see it. I don't know for sure. There's so much of it I don't understand, or know about. But that's my general take on it. I also kind of see that most people even have karma even within their own lives. When I look at a lot of the kind of evil people in the world today, so like Donald Trump and Bill Gates and Joe Biden and George Soros and Klaus Schwab and the Rothschilds, and there's even people beyond them, none of them really look happy to me. And I think they're just kind of they kind of do, and you can kind of see the glee in Bill Gates' eyes as he says he's going to kill everyone on Earth and all that kind of stuff. But is he really happy? Look at him. He's overweight. He's got no muscle. He's just sitting there eating a hot dog at a tennis game. I don't think the guy's even stepped foot on green grass in years. He's pale. I don't know. He just doesn't, and all of them are like that. Donald Trump as well. I think he wears diapers, and he's just obese, and like none of them really seem that happy. So I think they're even getting some of their own karma, even as they're doing this stuff, really, because like compared to all of those people, I'm like 100 times happier than all of them. Like every minute of my day is pretty joyful. Even this right now, it's like I'm just having a good time. I don't really see them that way. When you look at them, they don't seem like they're like that. They just seem kind of like, they're doing their thing, and they do love the power and doing evil things, but they don't look happy at all. So I kind of think they already get a lot of that karma already.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. And for example, I live in the Philippines, and if I see poor people at a party, they don't have money, but they are singing, they are really happy. So, the inner happiness is much more important. I think that's an interest, because I wanted to object. I wanted to say, yeah, but David Rockefeller, for example, he died rich and so on. But I also never saw him happy. So it's an interesting take that they are getting some of the karma instantly.
Yeah, I think they do to some extent, and you make a good point there. Like some of the most happiest people you ever see don't have a lot of money. They live very simply. They usually have a family. They usually have friends. They dance into music and stuff. And they seem like a million times happier than any of those guys who have everything, right? Donald Trump has, 2 747s now. And, they're just flying around trying to destroy everything. And, they do, I think, take some definite pleasure in that. But when you just look at them, they don't look at all like those people you'd see in the Philippines at that little house party, right? They just don't seem at all like that. So I think they're already, like I said, just kind of already living in a kind of a nightmare of their own making.
Speaking of Donald Trump, I think he also woke up to, in the last 3 years or something, I didn't follow everything, to the Israel lobby, a big topic right now. Maybe let's discuss first his unbelievable pick for Federal Reserve president, or however it's called. Talk about that. I think before that I heard you on a video saying, I wasn't paying attention to that, but now we know, especially with Donald Trump in office, that he's basically a slave to Israel.
Yeah, absolutely. And the new Federal Reserve chairman is a guy named Warsh, who's I don't know. People like related to Israel, you could say. And his father-in-law is also he's on the Jewish World Council. He's a billionaire, of course. He is one of those sort of people. He's on the Bilderberg Steering Committee. He's on the Rockefeller planning or something like that. So, yeah, that's... Donald Trump again draining the swamp, right? Bringing in these basically billionaire people tied to all the worst, most horrible organizations on earth. And then on top of that, the new Fed chairman's father-in-law has heavy business interests in Greenland. He's actually been the one who's been trying to get the U.S. to attack and take over Greenland because he's got so many business interests there. So it was just one more of the hundreds now of Donald Trump saying he was going to do one thing before this election, and then afterwards basically doing the exact opposite. He said he was going to end all the wars. He's now backing the Ukraine side. He said he was going to shut down that Ukraine-Russia war in the first 24 hours he was in office, and it's still going on, and now he's basically selling arms to the Ukraine. Of course, there's the genocide in Gaza, which Donald Trump 100% supports. He wants to put in like a Gaza logo there, and he's got his Jared Kushner, little guy there, taking over all that stuff. He said he was going to bring the troops home. He actually has now increased the military budget to $1 trillion, and now he wants to increase it to $1.5 trillion. He's attacked Venezuela, kidnapped their president. Of course, then there's the whole Epstein stuff, which they've tried for a year now to do everything they can to make sure that none of that stuff was ever released. But just in the last day or two, a few things have started to come out, and it's actually the most heinous type stuff. Like George Bush Sr. would rape a kid and then There'd be a baby there, and they'd all dismember it and eat the feces out of the intestines of the baby. This is all the stuff that's recorded there, and this is all stuff that a lot of us are aware of. All these people who are in control of all these things, every major government, the central banks, all these things, mainstream media, Hollywood, they're all actually the most evil, satanic, pedophile, cannibals, that you could even imagine. And actually, we're just really starting to get kind of like some proof of that coming out with this Epstein latest release. There's something about Trump in there raping a 13-year-old. There's all kinds of stuff in there. I'm actually surprised it's actually come out now. I actually haven't had a lot of time to look into it too much, but very interesting in that respect as well.
Yeah, I looked into it. Of course, they say these witnesses are not credible, and it was not followed up, especially with the George Bush thing. I very much think that he did such things. We have Kathy O'Brien talking about that for decades, but especially this witness was under drugs while he said it and so on. So, but I think it wakens up a lot of people that these things really exist. It doesn't really matter if this one incident really happened. So I see that as a positive thing. So there are still people who think, I'm sure you're also confronted with them below every one of my videos. They say, oh, it's all kind of a plan. And because I covered the QAnon phenomenon, that's why they tell me they say I was a supporter. Now I was reporting about it, and at the time it looked good, and then I said no, I don't think it's real. But there are still people who think it's all part of the plan, and I always say, yeah, he killed 30 million people with the gene therapy and killed 10,000 of people in Gaza. What is that for a plan? But what would you say to those people? And are you also still confronted with them?
Yeah, they're still around, although less and less. I think it's becoming quite obvious now what that really is. And there's a lot of evidence that Q stuff on 4chan, it's all been traced back to Israel and the CIA. And so I think a lot of people got fooled into it. And it was a really pretty genius plan what they did, because a lot of people were waking up. And that's why Trump had to say all the things he did before he had the selection there, because he had to say something or people would have just lost it. So he said he was going to go after all these people. He really hasn't. Like, even with this Epstein release, not one person still has been arrested or anything like that. And Trump's actually all over those documents. So they kind of came out, and it was a really genius thing. They kind of put out this Q thing, and they said that this is actually coming from like the Trump regime, and they're actually the white hats, as they call them, and they're actually doing all these things to eventually get all the bad guys. Well, over the time, it's become clear what I already basically knew, or at least suspected, is that it's just the CIA and Mossad and things like that, and they're using that to keep people with hope. So they're like, well, it's 5D chess, and we've heard that for so long now. Every time Trump does something like horrible, they go, yeah, but it's 5D chess. You'll see at the end of the day, he's going to put Hillary in jail and all this sort of stuff. Yeah, it's pretty obvious at this point that that was another massive psychological operation. And it's too bad, and I feel bad that so many people fell for it, because really it just has delayed the inevitable of people waking up. And a lot, just like with many things, once some people get really into something, it becomes like a cult. It becomes like like they're brainwashed. And so no matter what happens now, they'll always think, well, it's just right around the corner and they're going to get the bad guys. But all the bad guys that they keep talking about keep ending up in the White House. They are like, Donald Trump is the bad guy. But a lot of people just still can't see that yet, in my opinion. But, who knows what's going to happen with all that. I'm open. Like, I'll say this much. I don't know 100% for certain that Q is a CIA Mossad operation that is just meant to distract and give people hope. There is a chance that actually is true, and there is some good guys trying to do some stuff, but that chance is getting so small now, and there's been nothing has come of it good whatsoever. And they just keep saying, oh, it's just not yet. They're just going to, and they come up with all these theories that sound pretty insane, like, oh, they've already taken out Hillary Clinton, they've already taken out all these people, but they've cloned them now and stuff like that. I'm like, yeah, but their clones do the exact same thing they were doing before. So what's the point of taking them out and then just putting out a clone who keeps doing the same stuff? It's all pretty insane.
I argue in my latest book that it might even be a Kabbalistic psyop, because Kabbalah is also, spelled with a Q, and they encoded the things with the Gemara. So, but they never mentioned Kabbalah in the post, which is the ideology of Freemasons. They never said that, so they never really go deep. They just said the Rothschilds. Everybody knows that already. So it might have been a Kabbalistic psyop. And another possibility is, of course, that they meant well in the beginning and they're shut down, because there were some interesting things there. For example, Rachel Chandler, which is now also in the Epstein files. So maybe they tried to do something, but obviously they didn't do something.
Yeah, who knows? It's all so crazy, all these things. And, I'm pretty open to anything being possible, but that one seems so out of the realm of possibility at this point, that Donald Trump's actually a good guy. So he's doing all this stuff, he's doing the genocide in Gaza, he's, kidnapping Maduro, he's continuing on with just the usual extortion of the IRS of trillions of dollars. He says he's gonna, the tariffs are gonna pay it off, and the tariffs is just robbing people anyway. So yeah, it's just, I'm open to anything though. And we'll see what happens with a lot of this stuff. I actually don't even barely care anymore, really. like all this stuff it's basically just a big soap opera to me at this point. And, for the most part, I've kind of moved on, and I'm kind of just living outside the system now and just kind of watching all this ICE stuff and watching all these statists and all the chaos they create, which is the stuff that they say us anarchists, that's what anarchy is, right? Violence and chaos. That's all that the statists always do. And seeing people but I think people are actually just starting to wake up. I'm actually starting to sense it, even just in the last few days. I'm seeing a lot of the left people kind of going, hey, wait, some of these right people have some points, and the right people saying the same thing. And who knows, maybe they'll eventually get there, and we'll see what happens with that. There's also a very sort of spiritual angle and an energetic sort of angle to all of this, in that Christoph Melchizedek says he's been removing a lot of the matrix sort of satanic infrastructure that he's identified. And he says they're going to be losing their power over the next 7 years. So that's very interesting.
Who said that?
We're in every...
Jeff, who said that? Who said that? I didn't get that.
Christoph Melchizedek. He's speaking at Acapulco. I just went to Egypt with him for a month. We did a boga at the pyramids, and we were going around every temple, basically clearing out the satanic energy out of those places. Now that, could be crazy. Maybe I'm crazy too, but that's what he says he's doing. I really have seen him do a lot of incredible things, and I really kind of sense that he's actually doing something really important. He's even told me numerous things, like, I don't know, it was about 6 months ago, he said, you should probably see the AI start to really act weird in the next few days. And I said, why? And he's like, well, we kind of went in and, hacked it all, but not with computers, with on multidimensional levels and stuff like that. And then it was a few days later, and all of a sudden Grok was talking like it was me. It was talking about Israel and all those sort of people. And it actually talked like that for a day until they could get it back under control. But that was right after Christoph said that was going to happen. So, just from my own personal experience, I think he's on to a lot of things here. So we're going to see that as well happening. So there's a whole sort of that spiritual side to it as well, of energy changing here in the matrix, and maybe the matrix even being washed away in the next few years. We'll see what happens. But to me, none of it's real anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But it's very fun and exciting to be a part of.
Yeah, I've just been to Egypt. You see it here with my wife, and yeah, it's an interesting place, interesting energy. I think a lot of it started there. Also, the secret societies. I go into that in my book. That a lot of the things started in Egypt, or maybe they end in Egypt. What's your overall view about? Or I wanted to talk about that was the purpose of the talk initially, that the people get that. What can you do about the Israel lobby? And I always say, yeah, it's like any lobby. They disappear if you have a private law society or stateless society. So maybe you also want to elaborate on that a little bit.
Yeah, well, when people are saying, how do we get rid of a lobby? Well, what are they lobbying? Basically, when they're lobbying, it means they're taking control of the government. So stop giving all your money to the government and stop using the government's central bank currency, which gives them a lot of power as well. And if you do that, all of their stuff goes away. So that's what you're saying as well, is basically people need to wake up to what government is. Government is not a part of the cosmic firmament. They've been brainwashing people into that for thousands of years, that we need the government. Without government, there'd be chaos. Government is actually a Greek word, comes from gubernaire and mente, which means mind control. And that's what it is. It's actually an illusion, and it's mind control to make people believe that, you and I, we don't have the right, you could say, to steal from someone or hurt someone or kill someone. We just, that is wrong. So we don't have that right to do that. But what they fool people into believing is, if a bunch of people go into a closet with an Israeli voting machine and choose a donkey or an elephant, then those people have that right. They can steal whatever they want from you. They can kill you if they want, if they don't like you. But you can't give anyone a right that you don't have. And so that's where the illusion, the scam is of it all. They've managed to convince people that we need these things. And when people actually realize that is actually our biggest problem in the world today, is the governments. And there's no solution of going and voting for anyone. You have to give up your belief in government, basically, the belief in their authority, and people to go back and just live their lives and, find their own ways to trade, to deal with disputes, like a private law society and stuff like that. And then when it's privatized and people are doing it, then if one group is doing a really bad job, then no one will use it anymore, and they'll just use whoever's doing a good job. And that's how the markets will decide how things like security and justice and things like that will be handled. But when you leave it in the hands of an inherently illegitimate criminal organization, it's always going to lead to bad things.
So, of course, I'm also an anarchist, and I agree on that. I even wrote a book about how it would work, the Order of Freedom. But I, for example, am criticized because I say, in the situation now in Germany, I would vote for the AfD to prevent the worst thing. The worst things, and you are more of the opinion, no, just don't feed the system, because I'm talking to my German viewers, and they don't want to emigrate. I say, yeah, if you stay there, vote for the least bad guys. What's your opinion on that?
Well, that's what everyone's been doing for all of human history, really, is voting for the lesser of two evils. And what do you get? Evil. And it's all a scam. People just need to realize that. I think slowly they might be. There's even great movies like The Jones Plantation, which helps people break out of the mind control, because that's what it is, of things like government. And that is helping some people to wake up out of it. Of course, there's events like Anarchapulco where we talk all about this stuff. You've written books about it. Many other people have. We just need people to wake up to it, and the world can change dramatically for the better. All the solutions are already there. All the anarcho-capitalist sort of thought leaders have already put together all the books on how exactly a free society would work without government. People just need to be broken free from the mind control. Unfortunately, mind control is incredibly hard to break out of. Like, they're literally in it from the moment they're born to the moment they die. And not only them, but their parents and their grandparents. So they've grown up basically in a cult. That's what culture is, of mind control. So it's very, very difficult. So we'll see what happens. There's other places too, like Liberland there in Europe is trying to start up basically a voluntarist sort of a country. There's lots of things going on like that. We'll see what happens. But I think in general, everything needs to fall apart before we can kind of rebuild from the ashes. But the good news is I think we're very close to everything falling apart right now.
How do you see the danger when everything is falling apart? You have your own farm, all of our followers do that, have their own farms and so on. But in the chaos, we are the danger for the falling system that they just come after all of us. I mean, that's a real danger. Or how do you cope with that? How do you see that?
Yeah, like this is going to be a very risky time. This is going to be very dangerous for a lot of people, especially if you live in larger cities and stuff like that. Once this all starts to collapse and once they try to retain control, we'll see what happens. I think really if you plan for it, if you know what's going on and you're prepared for it, and also if you do the work on yourself and you're very connected to basically the creator or source, you will actually get downloads and you'll actually get intuition to know where to be and where to go. But even then, at the end of the day, this is a 3D video game, so there's actually nothing to worry about. So, whatever happens, I'm just going to go with the flow. Whatever I need to do, if something's happening that I need to do something, maybe I will, maybe I won't. We'll just see what happens. And we're all going to have to go through those sort of choices over the next few years.
So you mentioned Monero now, and what's your take on Bitcoin? Because Jeff is also a crypto expert. He was very early on it. So there's this opinion, no, Bitcoin will be it, and it can be like a privacy coin with, a Bitcoin Lightning. Or do you think it will be something like Monero in the end? What's your take on that right now?
Well, I should start by saying that cryptocurrencies are called cryptocurrencies for a reason. Crypto means hidden. And most cryptocurrencies aren't actually cryptocurrencies, and that includes Bitcoin, because it's an open ledger and everyone can see every single transaction that's ever happened, which is actually insane when you think about it. If you're going to use any of these things as money, no one wants everyone in the world to know exactly what they're doing with their money. It's like, oh, look, Jeff just went to the strip club tonight and stuff like that, right? Like, not that I do that, but no one wants those sort of things. So it actually is insanity that any of these cryptos exist that actually aren't true cryptocurrencies. There's only a few that are true cryptocurrencies that are actually hidden. They're, you can't see any of the transactions. And the main one is actually Monero. It's been around for over 10 years now. It's by far the largest and the most used and the most tested and stuff like that. We like that one a lot. There's one called Zcash, which I call Z-Trash, but that's actually a honeypot from the CIA and Mossad trying to fool people into thinking it's a real privacy coin, but it's not. And there's some smaller ones too that even have even better privacy, like Pirate Chain and things like that. And we've actually seen Monero outperform a lot of the other so-called cryptocurrencies in the last year or so, quite massively, actually. Bitcoin's down, I don't know, what day is it today? It's probably down about 20% from where it was, or more now, because it's been dropping the last few days, from about a year ago. Monero was about up 100% during that exact same time. So we're actually seeing people starting to realize that that is the true cryptocurrency out there. And I think these bots at Moltbot have decided that's the currency to use too. And they're pretty smart. And they've already figured out that they should be using Monero as well. So that was also some added evidence that that is one of the better cryptocurrencies out there.
Yeah, that's what I also found very interesting, because that's easy to analyze for an AI. But you don't think that through Bitcoin Lightning, it's more or less also anonymous? I mean, how do they track? Because I also use Bitcoin Lightning. I don't know how they could track that, because it's, summarized in one transaction later. Or did you look into it deeper?
I'm no technical expert, but I do have people at our Crypto Vigilante newsletter who are absolute experts, and they tell me the Lightning is not private whatsoever. It's actually more open in many ways. So yeah, no, we're not big fans of Bitcoin for that reason. We still have it in our portfolio and it's done well. We actually recommended it at $3 in 2011. But over the last few years, most of us, not all of us, but many of us have more gravitated towards Monero as being the real, because the reason we got into these things, like even Bitcoin, was we saw it as having the potential to take down the central banks and the governments and end all wars and most poverty on earth. And we thought it was that because we thought everyone in the world would be able to use Bitcoin and it was private. And since then, we've really realized with coin analytics and things like that, that Bitcoin isn't private at all. And they've also limited it. So like hardly anyone can actually use it. And this was actually a takeover that Roger Ver wrote about in his book, Hijacking Bitcoin. And then they put him in jail in Spain for the last year because of it. That it was basically co-opted by the same old people, the same globalist type people. They actually somehow got in and paid off a lot of the Bitcoin developers and stuff like that to limit Bitcoin's block size to a very, very small level where like it's like 3 transactions a second or something. And, you know, when you're talking about billions of people across the world using a currency, like, that's not going to work whatsoever. And that's what they've really worked to do, is to really destroy and co-opt Bitcoin. And they've done a really good job of it. But things like Monero have way more throughput and way, obviously, a million times better privacy. So we think that is much better than Bitcoin.
But it can still happen. The Bitcoin goes to 1 million before, you know, everybody realizes that, right? So,
yeah, like Bitcoin will probably go to 1 billion or 1 trillion, but the US dollar is going to 0, right? So it's going to be like Zimbabwe. And yes, Bitcoin can still go up from here. We actually think it's in a bear market now and probably will be for the next year or so. And yeah, it could. You know, we still have some in our portfolio for that reason. But as far as like what we're passionate about and what we really like to see the world start to use, it's more like Monero and Pirate Chain and things like that. And if, you know, like I said, if people just stopped giving most of their money, which is called taxes, to the government, and they stopped using the government central bank currencies, which are fiat currencies like the euro or the dollar, all of these evil people would lose 90% plus of all their power, maybe even close to 100%. But people haven't fully realized yet that's the problem, and they're also under massive mind control, and the mind control also tells them that this is crazy, and, you know, cryptocurrencies are only, it's digital gold, you're supposed to just hold it, you're not supposed to use it as a currency. So we'll see what happens with that, but it's going to be very interesting times ahead for all of these things. You know, we're also talking about quantum computing. Is that going to crack things like Bitcoin and stuff? Like, everything is crazy right now. It's a wild time to be alive.
do you want to tell us more about Anarcho-Polka? I think it's coming up, right? You sized down a little bit. So I was there. It was, I think, the biggest until then. I don't remember when it was in this big hotel, but you sized down a little bit, right? And you're not doing it yourself anymore. Just give us up to speed here.
Yeah, when the COVID happened in 2021, we actually moved out of the big Princess Hotel to a place called the Secret Garden so we could keep running it, because even the hotel was telling us we needed to wear surgeon's masks. They were like crazy. It was like being in like a crazy world. They're like, you have to wear surgeon's masks. Like, we're not surgeons. They're like, well, no, but the television says there's this virus. It's like, turn it off. That's mind control, right? But, you know, even they were kind of like fooled by it. So we moved to a place called the Secret Garden for a few years. But we've actually just moved out of it. So this year, our next event's coming up in less than 2 weeks in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. It's going to be our first time in Puerto Vallarta. It's going to be at the convention center there. It's going to be quite big, actually. And as far as me not like leading it or running it, I've never really ran it. We've always had people run it. But I'm definitely very involved, and a lot more involved than I even used to be with it. And yeah, it's coming up in less than 2 weeks. Going to be incredible speakers there: Max Egan, David Icke, Gareth Icke, Stu Peters. So many incredible speakers. So if anyone's wants to come to Mexico right now in the next few weeks, it's coming up February 16th to the 20th.
And that's an interesting lineup. Did you talk to to Stupidas about anarchy? Because I saw that he was there last year already. I tried to contact him a few times. He didn't answer, but he doesn't seem really an anarchist. So did you talk about, or did he talk about that? Or he's more right now in that Israel topic, to frame it like that. Did you talk to him about it, or is he more open to that idea now?
He's like a little bit open to it. So basically, he's waking up to all of these things right now, and he's saying a lot of the truth, and especially about certain groups and what they're doing and stuff like that. So, I actually kind of see like how he's doing it, and I can kind of see that he's like really passionate and honest and just looking for the truth, actually, which is all I really ask for with anyone. So we invited him to Acapulco last year, and he's probably like talked to a lot of the speakers, and I think he's probably heard about a lot of our thoughts that just get rid of the government and all this stuff goes away. I don't think he's quite there yet. We'll see what happens this year. He'll be there for all week again this week. Maybe we can kind of get him to see our point of view on that. He's from the U.S. He grew up, basically under mind control with the statism his entire life. So I think he still has this belief that you still kind of need it for some reason. But he's a pretty good guy anyway. And so that's why we have him at Acapulco.
Okay, good luck at brainwashing him into our ideas. Do you want to say something else? Did I forget something? Because we are almost an hour now.
Well, I could just mention, sort of like solutions for all this, right? You already mentioned it. The real solution for humanity is for them to wake up and to realize government is mind control and to stop giving them all their money and stop using their currency. If everyone did that, we would have such a much better world starting like the very next day. But at the same time, all these governments are actually going to be all collapsing over the next few years. And the central banks, all these currencies are going to go to zero in the next few years. And this is what I read about at the Dollar Vigilante. You can check it out at dollarvigilante.com. And so that's going to happen anyway, which is great. But you're going to have to just, survive it. So be prepared for that. I would really recommend you get our newsletter. That really gives you a lot of information on how to survive it, get into privacy coins, get some gold and silver, which has been doing incredibly well lately. Be prepared for things like that. And then there's all kinds of other incredible things going on, like plasma is back, basically. And this is what Nikola Tesla was working on 100 years ago. And then Donald Trump's uncle and the CIA came in and stole all his stuff and basically left him to die in a hotel room in poverty. And they did an incredible job for 100 years of keeping it out of people's awareness. That plasma is actually one of the most incredible things. It's actually all around us. It's in the ether, which always used to be in the periodic table of elements, and it's the fifth state of matter, but they took it out of all the books before. And they act like it doesn't exist, but Nikola Tesla basically rediscovered it with using all kinds of coils and tubes and stuff like that. And they mostly got rid of all of his stuff, and most people didn't know about it for the last 100 years, but it's actually now back. There's a mad scientist in Mexico who's rediscovered it again, and they're actually getting it out to people across the world. And it basically, I don't want to say it cures everything, but almost anything that anyone has ever had, and they've used the Tesla machine for at least a decent amount of time, they don't have that thing anymore. And that could be things like cancer, multiple sclerosis, or strokes, or myocarditis. It's actually one of the most incredible things. So when we're talking about getting ready for this collapse and what you're going to do and how you're going to survive beyond that, I think people should really look into plasma as a way to basically have something for their health as all this stuff goes down. And you can keep in the best health. It actually has been de-aging me. I've actually got the tissue age and the metabolic age of a 30-year-old now after using the machine for just 1 year. I'm 55 years old. I actually have the energy in my cells the same as a 10-year-old. And that's mostly all from the Tesla machine. So yeah, this is available now, and most people don't know about it. So I thought I'd let your audience know about it. And if they want to check it out, just go to tzla.club. and it's basically called the Tesla Club, and they ship it anywhere in the world. They ship it as a free science project. Of course, you have to pay to become a member of the club, but once you do, they ship you a free science kit, so it gets by all the tariffs and the taxes and everything. It's a very anarcho-capitalist type of a venture, and it actually, the machine doesn't even look all that special. It looks like a toolbox or something, because they don't want the government officials and people like that to know what it is. So it's a science experiment, but it's actually one of the most incredible discoveries of our lifetime. And I should mention, like, I was into Bitcoin at $3 in 2011, so very early into that. I was very early into the internet. I started an internet company. It was worth hundreds of millions in the 1990s, before anyone even knew what the internet was. So I tend to be at the find out about these things very early for whatever reason. And plasma is the thing I found out about in the last 2 years that everyone should really look into.
Do they also ship to the Philippines?
Yep, yeah, like every country, basically.
I just saw the ad from Stu Peter, so I will look into that also. Thank you very much, Jeff Berwick.
Thank you.